In 2009, Purdue upset Ohio State with an elite pass rusher named Ryan Kerrigan. 2018, Purdue upset Ohio State with a big time playmaker in receiving game named Rondell Moore. The Purdue team that is coming to Ohio Stadium on Saturday has a little bit of both. Defensive end George Karlaftis and a receiver named David Bell, among the best in the country. Buckeye Talk here at the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. I'm Nathan Baird from cleveland.com, along with Stephen Means and Doug Lesmerises, and we're going to have a little debate or discussion about which of those two players, Karlaftis or Bell, is potentially a bigger problem for Ohio State on Saturday. Stephen, who do you think is the bigger concern?
George Karlaftis, and the reason why is CJ hasn't been sacked a lot this year, but also they haven't played an elite pass rusher. So that's part of the reason. Yes, he does a great job escaping and buying time and finding down guys downfield. Yes, this offensive line has kept him clean, but it's easy to do that when the only guy that you would have played, Kayvon Thibodeau, didn't play. So this is really the first time that these tackles, whether it's Thayer Munford who kicks out there at left tackle, or it's just Nicholas Petitfrere and DeJuan Jones, this is the first real test that they're going to face where there's going to be some situations where CJ might get sacked and it's 2nd and 16. And what happens now, especially now that we see this offense kind of unraveling these last couple of weeks? David Bell's going to do what he's going to do, and I think even coming into the season, we all thought David Bell might come in here and have 150 receiving yards and a couple touchdowns. That's bound to happen no matter what. I don't think we were as worried about George Karlaftis as maybe we are now, given what this offense has been the last couple of weeks.
Doug, you and I actually covered both of those games. I was on the other side of the coverage of that. I was covering Purdue at the time, but you saw the Ohio State influenced, or Ohio State be influenced by both of those kinds of players. So which one do you think is the bigger potential concern for the Buckeyes on Saturday?
Yeah, I agree with Steven. I do think it is Karlaftis because Ohio State's better offensively. So if you disrupt the thing they do best, I think that's more of a problem. Arnold Ebiketie for Penn State, caused some problems. And he's the best. I agree with what Steven said. They haven't faced a great one. He's the best, and he was pretty good. And that Still guy from Nebraska inside had some success last week. So, Karlaftis is a first-round guy, and I would have said in a world where I just thought these tackles can block anybody, I would have said David Bell. That's just not what they've been the last 2 weeks. And it's a high bar that they set for themselves. And it almost makes you wonder kind of what's up. Again, Nicholas Petitfrere's PFF grades have fallen off a cliff the last 2 weeks. But you can also just see him and DeJuan Jones and everybody at times getting beat in not all the time. But let's say I think George Karlaftis could change this game with 5 good snaps at the right times, right? Because the thing with the young quarterback too is it doesn't have to be a third down stop. Just get a sack on first down, and now it's 2nd and 19, and now you're putting it on CJ, and is he going to force things? I just can see those things happening. So they've got to block that guy. It is a huge game for the tackles, and they haven't been playing their best lately.
I guess it's not going to be much of a debate because I'm picking George Karlaftis too. And looking at Purdue's season, they have 3 losses this year. One was at Notre Dame. Respectable loss. One was a home loss to Wisconsin, which the numbers, the Football Outsider says is the second best defense in the country next to Georgia right now. And so, okay, respectable loss. Their other loss is to Minnesota, which was also a team that was in the rankings last week, the playoff rankings. Well, what's the one thing Minnesota can do? Even now, Ibrahim's gone, and they don't have that great of a defense, and their quarterback's pretty pedestrian. What's the one thing Minnesota has? It's 8 Paul Bunyans up front they can use to neutralize someone like George Karlaftis. I think that was a direct consideration as to why Minnesota was able to beat Purdue in that game, and I think it's on this offensive line to show that it can kind of do the same thing. I'm curious to see if Ohio State might come out and attack. We've been spending so much time talking about the run game, so it's going to seem like we talked it into happening, we as the media, but this seems like a game where you want to come out and maybe attack with the run, attack Karlaftis with the run, because I think once you get a guy into the second level against Purdue, they are not as dangerous. I don't think they are as solid as a defense behind the front 4. When you get into their linebackers, you get into their secondary. I think when some of these things where Trevion Henderson was getting to the second level and encountering a good veteran linebacker to take him down, I don't think that's going to necessarily be there at the same rate against Purdue. So I think the opening is going to be there for some big plays in the run game. But I agree with what both these guys said, that I think this is a guy in Karlaftis. I don't expect him to come in here and do like vintage Chase Young and just smother a team, because I don't think the whole defense is as good, obviously, as that Ohio State defense was. But I think he can come in here and make an impact. And I don't know that C.J. Stroud has potentially faced that kind of pressure that could be coming after him in a fairly consistent way on Saturday. Get the text 614-350-3315, and we'll be talking about this much more on Buckeye Talk.